Hiya, this is Paolo, and today I wanted to talk to you about this idea I had while watching a Rabia video. He was trying the microcosm, and I thought that's a really good pedal, and he adds it to his Quad Cortex setup. And I thought, oh, that will be very nice, but I also thought, I think I have very similar sounds to that in my iPad. I use my iPad to do loops and as a mixing desk basically with an audio interface when I do my acoustic gigs. And I thought if I connect the iPad to the Quad Cortex, I can use those plugins to add to the sounds of the Quad Cortex. People say that the Quad Cortex is a bit lacking in the more extravagant delay and reverb. That's definitely a segment where the iPad plugins, they do shine. So in this video I wanted to show you how I've used my iPad instead of a microcosm, and I think I had quite good results. And I think that adding an iPad would be a way more powerful solution than adding a microcosm or a very specialized delay or reverb. And I'll show you why. So here's how the setup works. Basically I have my guitar that goes into the Quad Cortex. Normally I'm using output 3 and 4 of the Quad Cortex, and then I have the USB connected directly to my iPad. It's just a USB-C to USB-B cable. Simple, bought it from Amazon, quite cheap, and it does work. This is my guitar sound. And basically I just go through my normal chain, and before the main reverb and delay I just take a tap out that goes into a freeze, and that line goes into USB 5 and 6. From there I just go into AUM. AUM is just a host for plugins, is in a kind of like a mixing desk if you want to, and that's where I can load all the effects that I want, and I can do all sorts of crazy routing, but for the sake of this video it's just gonna be one simple. As you see, the input is the USB 5 and 6 of the Quad Cortex, and the output is the USB 3 and 4 that is the same as the output 3 and 4 that I'm using for the guitar. What I really like to do is when I use the freeze function, then add all those effects, kind of like creates a bed. So when I freeze a note, it can be a bit boring, but if I add all these effects, those kind of like microcosm-like effect, it becomes very interesting. So I can show it works. So I can freeze a note. And this will stay like this forever. That is kind of a bit boring, because it stays and change. But what I can do is add a granular delay. Reverb delay is kind of like, if I turn it on, this is what happens. And then I can play on top of it. This. Maybe turn down the volume of the freeze. And I kind of like to add this other plugin that does all sorts of weird stuff. It's a pitch shifter, modulation, delay, all sorts of. There's an LFO, and it adds this really nice movements to the, and this is an idea that I stole from Rabia. It's basically adding a reverb on top, and that kind of smooths everything out. This. I can Still playing. Now I can even change my sound and of course, that is just the start. You can add all sorts of like harmonizer, pitch shifters, modulation. Because the iPad is a platform that is quite popular with electronic musicians, these effects are kind of where it shines. But even if you think about adding an extra EQ, you can do it. So say you've run out of DSP power in your Quad Cortex, and you can't add a general EQ, you could use the iPad to do that. Of course, you don't have to use AUM, you can use GarageBand as a host for your plugins. It would do the same thing. You can use Loopy Pro, you can use all other kind of software that are available for the iPad. Another thing that is really cool is that most of the software that's available for the iPad to host plugin does also take MIDI, so you can program your presets on the Quad Cortex to change presets on your iPad, like you could do with the pedal. So the possibilities are endless. So if you think about that, the microcosm costs about £500, and you already have an iPad or an iPhone, because you can do all this on an iPhone. You just need the camera adapter to do it. The AUM software is quite cheap. I think it's about like £20. All these plugins are no more than £7.99. So if you add that all together, you have a way more powerful platform and way more versatile. It just needs you to be a bit more technologically savvy, but it offers endless possibilities that in a pedal are kind of limited, because when you buy the pedal, that's it. The iPad and the iPad software is always evolving. There's a million developers coming out with really cool plugins. Also, if you think about it, people are buying the Eventide H90 for £1,000. That would be enough for you to buy an iPad, to buy all the Eventide plugins that are available, and some are basically the same algorithm that are in the H90s. You'll still save some money. You have a really cool touchscreen, and you can watch Netflix from your pedalboard if you want to. I hope you found this interesting, and if you have any question, just let me know in the comments below. And if you have not, remember to like and subscribe, and see you for the next time. Bye!